The Jala Tarang, or Jal Tarang, the tuned porcelain bowls of India, are mentioned as far back as the early medieval era. The bowls are filled with water to different levels, resulting in the pitches, and Jala Tarang have been used in Western performances as well, including Henry Cowell's 13th Symphony, the Symphony Madras. Well, okay, I'm not quite as expert as the performer in the recording, am I? It might be kind of hard to see, but I filled this little bowl almost completely with water. This one about halfway, there you can see it, and that not at all. And we really will get 3 different microtonal pitches. Check it out. It kind of works with crystal goblets, too. And definitely with glasses of different sizes. Do, mi. And rather hauntingly from these metal ones. Again, nicely microtonal. Also in early medieval times can be found the Berber and Tokular people. And both cultures have been instrumental in the development of the guitar. Go, yeah. Absolutely. Fantastic, Megan. Thank you. From Mauritania to the Himalayas, that high Tibetan plateau, insulated from the surrounding world, much in the spirit of the Alps in Europe, and like the Alps again, the use of long trumpets, here with wonderful sustained drones. Against this you hear the guling oboes, providing more of the melodic content. Glissandi, pentatonic music with 8 fingerhold, and the use of circular breathing, much in the same way as a bagpipe. Also much like the bagpipe with decorative neighbor note figurations. And I'm not sure we're hearing them in this recording, but flutes made out of human bones, leg bones, the femur, often crafted from criminals or those who suffered violent deaths. And if you can't find one of those, use a scholar's bone. Oh my. But what about these long trumpets? Can I replicate them? Okay, so got the mouthpiece. We've got a longer tube now, and I think I can actually buzz it without the mouthpiece. Let's see what we got. With a little bubble off of the water. And with the mouthpiece, let's see if we can get this sound all the way to the Himalayas. Best we could do. I don't think we even made the coast range. Tibetan Buddhist chanting tends to be in the very lowest range. Oh, it's kind of a G. Oh, little intimations of the F sharp just below, half step below, kind of clustery, sliding around heterophonically. And notice the wonderful percussion background. Boom, 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 boom. Oh yes, cymbals and drums. Eventually we'll go up a minor third. Do, me, do. Following this, a little excerpt from the movie Kundun about the Dalai Lama.
Liars! Fools! You learned nothing. 5 forms of degeneration. The red ideology. Danger from within and without. Devotion, skill, regret, failure. Heed the warning of your predecessor, or the war will end here. Careful. Careful.
Roughly, meanwhile, back in the Roman Empire, Attila the Hun. Okay, this is way later music by Johannes Brahms, the Hungarian Rhapsody #1. But Attila, once again, leaving the middle of Asia, getting all the way to the Po River, and astoundingly enough, the emperor persuades the Bishop of Rome the Pope, to go out and plead their cause, warning Attila of disaster, and he leaves and disappears from history. Amazing. But that's just about it for the Roman Empire anyway, which has been degenerating for quite some time. The German king Odoacer comes in and basically just says, okay, we're taking over. And that's it for poor Romulus Augustulus. Barbarian kingdoms now in the West, but the East holds on and still calls itself the Roman Empire. Under Justinian it flourishes. Byzantine chant is established, and also the use of castrati singers. Whoa! German barbarian kings, Odoacer. It seems like the only thing that can be relied upon to symbolize the old order of authority and culture is the Catholic Church. The Pope becomes increasingly important. The Papa, father of the Church, their line traced back to St. Peter. And also you have important figures like St. Benedict, who establishes for all these monks who have been organizing themselves into communities a set practice of worship. The hours, the canonic hours of the Church, starting with matins. It's actually a French term for morning, but it's like 3 in the morning. Lauds, praise at about maybe 5. 6 a.m., the prime hour, the first hour, prime. 3rd hour, terce, that's at 9 a.m. It's not what you think. Sext is the 6th hour, 12 noon. Then noon, the 9th hour, 3 in the afternoon. Vespers, the evening service, which will become very important later on. And Compline, and finally off to bed with you. Some monastic communities simply prayed to God on behalf of the ruler. Others worked in the fields, and some taught. And then there's Boethius, some sort of transition figure between the ancient and medieval, positing the music of the spheres, and you're listening to some contemporary music by George Crumb in the background on the same subject. He's also the one that came up with the Wheel of Fortune, Vanna White, and he has major issues with Theodoric, who has usurped Odoacer's position. Poor Boethius does not come to a good end as Europe itself is divided. There's no question that spirituality is still very much in the air, whether we're dealing with the wonderful didgeridoo wind music from Australia, or the didgeridoo here played by the wonderful Aboriginal performer David Hudson. The didgeridoo defaulting to a tonic, and instead of the octave above, it's a tenth above. Made out of eucalyptus wood. Or the continuing adventures of Buddhism, which made it to Japan at about 538. Here you have a call to prayer on a very large drum with an idiophone rattle, and now giant bells, which are part of what we would say the call to worship, the introit, as it would be called in Western tradition, and here both in the drum and now in the bells and a cellorando. Chanting we've heard around the world, and the Japanese do not disappoint here in a wonderful call and response, featuring harmony in thirds. And finally, a selection called The Blind Monk. Classic pentatonic. This is a G major pentatonic scale. And a matter of fact, amongst the early missionaries to Japan was one Gyanjin, who was a blind monk. And there's a later order of blind monk musicians. So how eminently appropriate. The scale here in G, do, re, mi, sol, la, do, with off a do, so, do,